Good afternoon. I'm audible to you. Can you hear me? Good afternoon to all. Today we will be talking about block number 2 and 3 and unit number 7, 8, and 9. Unit number 7 is communication in meetings. Now, the thing is that, first of all, we are aware of what meeting is, what is meant by meeting. Meeting is a group communication in action around a defined agenda. Now, I presume that slide is visible to you. A meeting is a group communication in action around a defined agenda at a set time for an estimated duration. Meeting can occur face to face, but post COVID, business houses and industries are turning to video conferencing as it saves cost and time of travel. Regardless of how you come together as a team, group, or committee, you will need to define your purpose in advance with an agenda. What are the objects of meeting? In general, we can say that it is sharing of information, improving productivity, resolving communication gaps, addressing the concern of employees, forming policies, clearing doubts, addressing staff grievances, and obtaining feedback. These are all general things. Now, what are the different types of meetings are? Meetings are purpose intensive activities. They can be a daily meeting, which is also known as stand-up meeting, is a gathering of people who work on the same project with a common goal and makes decision informally by general agreement. Second part is the weekly or monthly meeting, where members work on different but parallel projects and where there is a competitive element and a greater likelihood that the chairperson will make the final decision. The occasional, infrequent, or special project meetings are composed of people whose normal job do not bring them together and whose work has little or no relationship to the others. The first of these three types of meeting, workforce type, is probably the most common. Surprisingly, it is also the most likely to succeed. Operational imperatives usually ensure that it is brief and the participants' previous experience of working together ensures that communication is good. The meeting can also be classified based on focus areas. That means it is becoming something on the subject. These can be status update meeting, decision making meetings, planning meetings, collaboration meetings, problem solving meetings, brainstorming meetings, team building meetings, debrief meetings, or innovation meetings. Now, what is meant by status update meeting? The focus area of such meeting is desirability. Usually, the stand-up meeting or weekly monthly meetings fall under this category. Decision-making meetings, these focus of such meetings is trying to find out the flaws, defects in the decision-making process. Then comes planning meetings. As the name suggests, these meetings are based on the plan of action. That is what, when, how, where a particular decision is to be made and implemented. Then comes collaboration meeting. The focus of these meetings is trying to achieve a mutual goal. Problem solving meetings, they focus on to analyze the cause of the problem and try to resolve the issues. They are convened usually during emergencies when a situation needs a solution. Brainstorming meeting, such meetings are informal in nature and have a friendly atmosphere. In such meetings, every participant feels that he or she can contribute even though the idea may not work. Team building meeting. The focus of these meetings is to create an atmosphere where people come together as a team. The concern for each other, caring attitude is developed. Next one is debrief meeting. The focus of these meetings is on the future of the organization through information sharing. These are also known as feedback meetings. Innovation meeting in the present day scenario, which is complex, dynamic, and competitive. Such meetings have become all the more important. Every meeting has its importance and forms a major part of communication, thereby helping the organizations to sustain in the competitive world. Meeting preparation. The ability to work and communicate effectively in groups is a skill. How you perform in meeting provides a cue to how competent you are and how ready you are to assume responsibility, work in teams, and solve problems. Meeting can have one or more purposes, which may be to review progress, assign responsibilities, make decisions, etc. A large part of what makes a meeting successful occurs in the preparation phase. Poor planning and mismanagement may turn the meeting into a waste of time. Hence, pre-preparation can help the participants make the best possible use of everyone's time. Although meetings differ by department or unit, there are seven key accountabilities expected of chair or team leaders before a meeting takes place. First one is clarity of purpose and aim. Every meeting is called with a purpose. A clearly stated purpose highlights the key decision that must be made or actions that must occur in the meeting. The purpose of meeting should be stated at the top of the meeting agenda, at least 2 days before the meeting. The purpose should be specific and to the point, like identify priorities, goals for the next year, examine and update product launch criteria, decide how to promote a certain product. Normally, what we see is the result, but think over how much planning and work is done earlier to present that. Second one is to create an agenda. Effective meetings are disciplined, and to have a disciplined meeting, a well prepared agenda is a must. It is like a roadmap or a blueprint, and it helps focus the group's work together or towards achieving desired outcomes at a specific time. Good agenda items provide focus and structure for a meeting. When the agenda has been created, now schedule for the meeting has to be planned. Making a list of attendees is only a part of the process while planning a meeting. From the time of approaching attendees for seeking their availability until scheduling a meeting, calendars can fill up quickly. To reduce turnaround time, it is advisable doing some pre-work. It necessitates selecting essential people who must attend. When asking for meeting times, try to be as clear and concise as possible, eliminating any ambiguity or assumptions. A meeting site can be chosen once an ideal day and time have been agreed upon. A grid can be prepared, establish at what time the meeting will begin and end. If the meeting are long, include a short 10 to 15 minutes break in between. Fourth one is share agenda. Distributing the agenda ahead of the time helps participants to prepare questions and formulate opinions. There are legal bindings too for posting meetings agenda at time. Circulate additional information. Provide enough information before meeting so that people come with a general familiarity with the issues to be discussed in the meeting. It will be a good idea to share URLs if possible. Then comes your location. Ensure that the rooms or location is complementing kind of environment you prefer for the meeting. Room arrangements can make a big difference in how well a meeting goes and does not go. Most important is that participants can see and hear each other. Then comes minutes of the meeting. How minutes of the meeting means recording what happened over there and who were present. Secretary is responsible for preparing the minutes of the meeting. What we in short call it as MOI. Minutes are formal record of what was discussed in the meeting. It has to be transcribed and circulated to each member soon after the meeting ends. Often, the draft of the minutes is circulated to all participants for their input before finalizing. And finalization of this MOM is the job of the secretary, the person who convenes that meeting. Minutes are formal documents, hence they should be written in the formal style. The tone used in writing minutes should be neutral. It demands a high level of accuracy, objectivity, and concreteness. To maintain an impersonal, neutral tone and maintain objectivity, minutes are written in the past tense and passive voice. Minutes use reporting verbs like said, started, illustrated, explained, suggested, etc. To conclude, the minutes of the meeting are important document and a high degree of seriousness is required while drafting them. What are the features of productive meeting? The first step is to make your organization productive begins with the effective meetings. The key to making the most of the time spent in a meeting is ensuring that all meetings adhere to six core principles. The first one is meeting should have a leader. By leader, we do not mean a boss or a senior person in the organization. Any person who calls the meeting should generally be the meeting chair or a leader. Second one is purpose should be well defined. It is important for the chair of the meeting to have a clear idea of what outputs he or she is expecting from the meeting. It is impossible to get a good outcome if you are yourself not sure about what outcomes you want. It is good practice if the leader articulates the goal of the meeting in the beginning. Well defined agenda. Each meeting should have a pre-decided agenda items created by the meeting leader and sent out at least 24 hours before the meeting. In each item should have a time for discussion mentioned clearly in the agenda, and this helps to keep the meeting structured and disciplined. Fourth one is time management. Research states that people hate long meetings. When it comes to scheduling a meeting, it is better to go short than long. This can be done by assigning the time limit to each agenda beforehand. Fifth one is participants should come prepared. Each agenda item has a person assigned who is responsible to carry out the discussion. It is important that the person responsible should come prepared. Sixth one is leader should be a moderator. Meetings are criticized for losing focus. People start checking their mobile phones, emails, etc. Start talking with each other or even bring the discussion out of the track by talking on irrelevant issues. What are the features of successful meeting? Time plays an important role. Start and end the meeting on time. Remember, all opinions are valid. Avoid side conversation and do not encourage anything unrelated to the agenda. Avoid commotion. Issues discussed should remain in the room, that is, maintaining confidentiality. We have a tendency of discussing things after the meeting has been complete. When we were given the time to discuss the things, either we thought otherwise or we were not prepared for it. But all these things have to be taken care of when we are appearing for a meeting. Now comes your input process output model, what we call it as IPO model. Meetings can be termed as a form of group communication. They are most effective way for sharing the information between the members. Input process output theory starts with members circulating the ideas to achieve desired outcomes. It has the following features. Meeting IPO is a structured approach to ensure meetings are productive and useful. Secondly, IPO follows a straightforward process that begins with the desired outcomes, then moves on to the process that will be used to accomplish them, and finally to the inputs for which process steps. Thirdly, by making the desired outcomes and process visible, IPO moves meeting arrangement and creates clarity, alignment, and results. Now the thing is how to create an IPO model. Each step in the IPO model has its own importance, where members communicate with each other to decide the perception of the group. The IPO model is considered to be a cybernetic system, which means it is a closed circuit. IPO model starts with the meeting goal, then brainstorming to develop the input to achieve those goals. Now the thing is that what basically input is. This involves sharing of information and brainstorming to achieve the output. Then comes your process. This identifies the objective which are to be achieved and the means to achieve those objectives. Then the output will be there. This involves the response for making decisions and how they can be implemented to achieve the outcome. Now you can see this is input output process. What is required? Decision plans which comes under this decided in outputs. How will these inputs be used to create the output? That is the agenda. And what will be useful to create these outputs? That means we need reports, data, numbers, etc. Meeting etiquettes. Meeting place you in front of employees and employers with whom you may not work on a regular basis. As a result, how one acts in the meeting could create a lasting impression. 10 meeting etiquettes one should know. Be on time to avoid wasting the time of yours and others. Make sure you come on time. It is beneficial to come prepared for the meeting ahead of time. Secondly, make introductions to know others and to let others know you. It is a good tradition to begin a meeting by introducing each members to the team. That means this job has to be performed by the leader. It should always start by introducing the person at the highest rank. Hierarchy has to be followed. Have a strong agenda. A strong agenda helps to keep the discussion on track. It is the facilitator's responsibility to get the decision back on the track if it's get off track. Sit appropriately. The way you sit in the meeting helps you to get involved and heard. Speak up. Meetings are called to hear your opinion on issues. Do not sit quietly. Add your thoughts related to the topic being discussed and contribute quantitative. Understand the unwritten speaking rules. Some rules are universal. You may disagree with people, but the rude and aggressive interjections may damage your reputation. Learn to interpret politely. And do not take phone calls during the meeting. It is very bad manner to talk on phone whilst others are discussing something important. If the call is urgent, make an excuse and leave the room. Do not drink and eat during the meeting. It is okay to eat or drink during the meeting if it is served to everyone. Avoid eating and drinking personal stuff, as it may make noise or give off smells that are destructive. Clean up after yourself. It is unprofessional to leave the place dirty after yourself. And do not save all the questions for the end. Ask your question at the appropriate time. Keeping all the questions for the end may make others uneasy as they might like to end up the meeting on effective decision making in group communication. Every organization's growth is driven by the ability of management to make effective decisions. The quality of decision depends largely on the efficacy of communication within the organization. For decision making, meetings are held at various levels in the organization. Hence, we can say that communication plays an important role in reaching an effective decision. Small group communications refers to the act of communication among three or more people for a common goal or purpose. They are used in different settings, such as work groups, social events, or influence groups. Small group communication is an essential part of group decision making, and meetings are a way in which group communication works. In terms of business communication, small groups are limited to achieving a specific objective. Small group fulfills three different needs of an individual. First one is instrumental, second one is interpersonal, and the third one is identity needs. Now comes your functional theory of communication. The functional theory, also called the functional theory of group communication, is a set of statements, beliefs, and claims that attempt to explain how and why communication affects the quality of decisions made by a group. It explains how communication influences group decision making and how communication should be structured to make effective decisions. In 1910, John Dewey proposed a method for problem solving in his book How We Think. He suggested that reflective thinking is the key to solving a problem and have and gave 5 steps, which are finding the difficulty or the problem, where and what is the problem, proposing possible solutions, and determining the consequences of the solution by reasoning and implicating, and accepting or rejecting solutions by experimenting or observing them. The second influence was of Robert Paley in his work Interaction Process Analysis, that is IPA, and he stated that small group communication is influenced by the ability of group members to deal with functional problems. He identified 4 functional problems, which are adaptation, instrumental control, expression, and integration. Adaptation and instrumental control relates to the decision making termed as task concept, whereas expression and integration relates to the management of relationships, termed as socio-emotional concerns. In IPA, he highlighted 12 categories, out of which 6 were related to task function and another 6 were related to socio-economic concerns. In the light of these practices, communication plays 3 different roles in group communication, that is positive, destructive, and counteractive. Now, what are these roles? Positive role, the group is able to complete the functional requirements successfully. Destructive role, it serves to create roadblocks that obstruct or prevent the group from meeting any of the requirements for effective decision making. The third one is counteractive role. It serves to nullify or neutralize a communicative act that has had a disruptive effect. Now we move to Unit 8, that is presentation skills. As the name suggests, it's how you present yourself, your work, your abilities to the mass. Presentation skill is an art and it is an important mode of oral communication. This requires more focus and attention while presenting an idea or a concept. Presentations are a way of communicating ideas and information to a group. The objective of communication is to make your message understood and remembered. In order to be effective and impressive in your presentation, you need to prepare before you actually deliver. Most presentations either and inform the audience about something or try to persuade the audience about a product, service, or an idea or a concept. These days, presentations have also become an important part of recruitment process in business organizations. Now the question arises how? Perhaps this is because of the job market has become so competitive that job interviews are not enough for organizations to gauge the skills of their applicants. Therefore, in many organizations, the shortlisted applicants are asked to make presentations before the selection panel. Through presentations, the interviewers get an opportunity to look at the ability of the applicant to identify and organize appropriate material on a specific topic as well as to support and illustrate ideas. I hope you can understand that visualizing a thing explains so many things rather reading a text about a particular thing. We should use photographs or we can use photographs. It's better photographs be used while you are presenting things because that image generates an idea of what you want to present. That is the plus point of it. In brief, what is the purpose of presentation? To introduce a new product or services, to present a new business plan, to market a product or increase sales of a product, to give a talk in a seminar or in a conference, to give information on any issue, to analyze a report or project, and to display oneself in an interview. Now, these are the purposes where presentation works. Now, what are the different types of presentations? Based on the purpose of which a presentation is being made, they can be divided into the following categories. We will start with informative presentation. As the name suggests, this type of presentations give information to the audience. And this information can be in the form of details, of rules and regulations or policies of the organization. It also includes giving information to the employees, the media, and the public. Second one is persuasive presentation. This kind of presentation is generally about selling something. It intends to convince the audience about the goodness of a product or an action. This kind of presentations can also persuade the organization's head to accept proposals on any issue. Third one is motivational presentation. They are designed to motivate or enthusiase people on an issue or about a program. Generally, this kind of presentation is made to influence people to accept a new policy, initiative, or an idea of the organization. For a presentation to be effective, the presenter not only has to make her or her presentation interesting and relevant, he or she also has to prepare himself and herself well to make an effective presentation. Some of the things which needs to be kept in mind to make the presentation effective are coping with fear or nervousness, understanding the audience and connecting with them, making the presentations relevant, interesting for the audience, and confidently handling the question answer sessions. Planning the presentation. Planning a presentation requires a lot of preparation before it takes a final shape. Depending on the focus of presentation, to decide the strategy or sequence of ideas. One of the most common and effective strategies used by most people is the STAR strategy for planning a presentation. According to this strategy, the presentation needs to go through the five filters: who, why, where, when, and what before it takes a final shape. Now, the question will be in your mind, what does these five W's mean? These five filters help you to polish and chisel the presentation before it is ready for the audience. Now, target audience to whom you are presenting. Who this is the first filter, which helps the speaker to understand his or her audience. Checklist can be followed to access the target audience. Educational background, nature of the job profile, basic attitudes, common language, and number of people attending. What is the purpose? Why? This is the second filter, which looks at the reasons for making a presentation. The following questions need to be answered when trying to focus on why aspect. These are end results, objective objective and needs of the audience. When the purpose is defined, the speaker may start the presentation giving a general background of the subject or straight away moving to the specialized part of the subject. Usually, the purpose of any presentation is to presenting a new point of view. Secondly, additional information. Thirdly, demonstration of a service, product, or a system. And fourthly, selling a concept or idea. The third part in this W is the place where. This filter is the place or location of the presentation where it will. This is important for the speaker as it helps to understand the ambience, seating arrangement, sound system, etc. If the speaker knows the where of the presentation, he will make himself or herself comfortable before making the presentation. Time, when it will be. The next part is to know the time of the presentation. This includes for how long the presentation will run. This will answer the question queries. Time available, time is taken to complete formalities, and time available for the question and answer session. Normally, what happens? These are all W's. We normally don't understand them, but they are all meaningful and useful. As far as this time is concerned, suppose we are 11 people or 12 people come join together for a discussion. So when the agenda is defined, so everyone there was interruption. Now, as I was discussing that everybody has an idea when his time of demonstrating or presenting will be there in the meeting and how much time he or she will be participating speaking on the issue. And these are some of the factors which plays important role. Fifth one is content. What has to be presented? This is the most important part of the presentation, as a wrong choice of the subject matter may result in the presentation going wrong, even if the presentation has been prepared nicely. So we should be aware of the agenda of the meeting and what you are supposed to present yourself. What is the process of presentation? Every presentation follows a classic pattern of introduction, body, and conclusion. These three are essential components for making a presentation. A presenter should carefully prepare each one of these in order to make an effective presentation. We'll start with introduction. This part is the first step while preparing for a presentation. Introduction should be such that it builds the inquisitiveness and the interest of the target audience, which will make an impact for further course of action. The following points should be kept in mind while preparing for the introduction. Introduce yourself, state your purpose, relate subject to the audience, and give a brief outline. An introduction to the presentation needs to be imaginative and interesting to capture the attention of the audience. A good introduction will motivate the audience to sit through the entire presentation. Next part comes the body. This is the middle part of the presentation. And in this part, the main content of the theme is developed, which should be precise so that the attention of the target audience is retained. This part should focus on the following points. Do not present more than four main points or ideas. Support main ideas and with facts. Use signposting and use visuals. Conclusion, the third part. This is the last part of the presentation. This part summarizes the whole concept of the presentation and also gives the future scope of the topic considered. This part consists of the following points. We're talking about the conclusion part, that is the last part. Reiterate, reinforce what you have said, or summarize these points. Do not present new ideas in this part. Make a conclusion or recommendations if necessary, and relate conclusions to the audience, and invite a question. Use of visual aids. Most presentations deal with statistics and other complex data, which would be confusing if it were described in words without any visual support. It is here that visual aids come to our rescue. They help us to present figures. If you remember when we were discussing about your quantitative paper, there also was the same thing, how the data can be presented to make it more informative. Here again the same thing is that whatever you want to communicate has to be supported by figures so that we can make comparisons and contrast, to project future performances, and to talk about past, present, and future trends. So that we can say that in past that this thing happened, and in present we are going through this phase, and in future we can think of showing this. This when it is presented, so it becomes nice and easy to understand. This serves the dual purpose of enabling the presenter to deal with this kind of information easily and making it possible for listeners to understand these clearly. A variety of visual aids like flowcharts, line graphs, bar graphs, pie charts, pictograms, maps, table, diagrams, photographs, etc. can be used for this purpose. Visual aids also make a presentation more interesting. Moreover, they help you to cut down the amount of talking one has to do. So the thing is that if we don't use anything, any supportive tool, we have to speak. And if we place a figure and we just point it out towards that thing, so that reduces our speaking time. Because once you see something, you can yourself analyze, okay, the presenter wants to say this. Now, this issue, glossophobia. Phobia is termed as fear, and glossophobia is a fear of speaking in front of public or in public. The one who suffers from glossophobia often suffers from fear and anxiety. You are afraid of. You yourself are, you can do it, but you yourself are afraid of. Afraid of speaking in front of people without knowing what they will be thinking, what they will be saying. Why? You are just presenting yourself, your ideas and your views. You should not be, you should not have fear of anything. This is especially while speaking in front of a group of people. This makes them avoid public speaking. It is important for organizations to diagnose the cause and provide remedial solutions to the employees suffering from glossophobia. Overcoming glossophobia, how this can be overcome. Most of us, even those who have reached the highest eloquence of their profession, struggle with public speaking anxiety. This is actual, rather we can say that this is a problem. But now it has been taken care of by many organizations. And people themselves are taking care of it. Nervousness or anxiety in certain situations is normal, and public speaking is no exception. Certain tips which may help a person to become a good public speaker, and these tips are: get organized ahead of time, carefully plan out the information you want to present, including any props or audio visual aids. Knowledge of the topic. The better you know the content of your presentation, the less likely you will make a mistake or get off track. Third one, practice. Before you complete presentation, several times you have to work upon it. Challenge specific worries. When you are afraid of something, you may overestimate the likelihood of bad things happening. That is what I said. What people will say. Abhi, bhai, you want to speak yourself your way. Better you speak it. Why you are afraid? People has their own perception. Similarly, what I used to give an example of, you are saying that the glass is half filled, and I am saying the glass is having water in its half capacity. Meaning is the same, but why we are afraid of? Visualize success. Imagine that your presentation is going well. Positive thoughts will help you to decrease some of your anxiety. Deep breathing. This can be very calming. Take 2 or 3 deep breaths slowly before you get up to the podium. If you get a chance of having a look at it, try to see it, how people present themselves in a meeting. Focus on presentation. People mainly pay attention to new information. They do not notice your nervousness. If the audience does notice that you are nervous, they are likely to be empathetic and wants your presentation to be a success. And do not fear a moment of silence. If you lose track of what you are saying or start to feel nervous and your mind goes blank, it may seem like you that you have been silent for that. What are the components of effective presentation? To make a presentation effective, one should try to capture the interest of the audience right from the beginning by asking questions, telling an interesting story, quotations, or joke relating what you are saying to the audience, using illustrations, eye contact, and body language. Making a connect. You might have seen motivators, those who are working as motivators, what they do. They are initially they don't see towards anything. They start speaking, and after a particular phase of time, they try to make eye contact with some of the persons who are sitting, those who are, those who can from where they can reach. This is what comes into their mind. The first few minutes of the presentation are very precious and crucial. If you fail to arrest the attention of your audience in the beginning, you may lose it forever. You make your first impression even before you have opened your mouth to speak. Your dress needs to be neat, smart, and appropriate to the occasion. It is mostly formal for the presentation. The next thing to pay attention would be your gait and posture. How do you stand or how do you sit? Normally, presentation is done by standing. Your body communicates different impressions to the audience. People do not people not only listen to you, they also watch you. Displaying good postures tells your audience that you know what you are doing and you care deeply about it. Also, a good posture helps to speak more clearly and effectively. The key is to look relaxed and comfortable and at ease with your surroundings. Reaching the venue of your presentation while in time would be immensely helpful in getting you comfortable with the place. Eye contact is another crucial factor. It signals interest in others and help you to connect with the audience. The audience responds to you better when you look at them in their eyes. Do not keep your eyes away from the audience for too long. The expressions you wear on your face transmit a great deal. A smile is contagious. A smile spreads happiness around you as it makes others smile in response. It also transmits happiness, friendliness, warmth, liking, and positivity. Language focus. Second part is that. Language focus puts the emphasis on the structure of the language which is being used in the presentation. One should Carefully use the phrases while talking about visuals and making comparisons. While introducing a visual in the presentation, one can use the following phrases. First of all, or let us look at. Here we can see, or we can say that as you can see in the graph sorted, these are the ways how the presentation is made. And while talking or expressing the visuals, on analyzing this graph, what is what is interesting in this graph? It is evident from the diagram. These visuals clearly indicate these are the phrases which are normally used when the presentation is being made. Some useful phrases which one can use to conclude his or her presentation or to give recommendations at the end of the presentation. When you are concluding, so I would like to summarize or sum up. At this stage, I would like to run through over the main points. Or we can say that so as we have seen today. Third part is the body language. Facial expressions is a fundamental contributor to effective communication. The scientific study of body language is called kinesis. We have seen yesterday. Proper posture is also important for good communication. Learning or leaning backwards, swinging the legs, resting the head backward in a reclining chair, or swelling too frequently or playfully should be avoided. You might have seen people doing all these things while they are present in the meeting. They are physically present in the meeting, but mentally they are not. And it should be avoided. Silence is a powerful, if intriguing medium of communication. Silence can have a dramatic effect in presentation or speeches to draw the attention of everyone. Those who are chatting quietly or even napping, if it is not appropriately, it is open to misinterpretation as lack of preparation on the part of the speaker. Therefore, silence can be appropriate or inappropriate depending upon the situation. Here are some of the tips to make an effective presentation. Dress appropriately for the occasion. Hold the attention of the audience by using visuals and audio clips to break the monotony. Be clear and concise. Ideas and information should be sequenced well, and use of humor in the presentation should be there. Familiarize yourself with the venue. Be punctual. Maintain eye contact with the audience and have positive body language, that is enthusiasm, confidence, and sincerity. Now we move to block 3, that is written communication at work. That means how we are, how will we will be communicating with writing. What are the basis of written business communication? Writing is essentially a communication tool that is used to convey emotions or exchange information. If you have used these tools to talk to your friends, colleagues, and family, you are likely to. However, in order to be a good writer, you need to read good models of writing, have knowledge about the writing, and above all, you need to practice constantly. What is the need of written communication? Why it is required? We observe and process a vast amount of information that we get from the world around us. If we document these reactions and observations regularly, we create records of our personal history. Writing is thus an important tool for documentation. Since we are connected by online networks which demand constant communication, we are expected to write concise and clear text. All professional workplaces now demand strong writing skills from their employees, and it is an important ingredient for upward mobility. We write the following reasons: write to experience. People who take photographs of have often talked about the importance of capturing the beauty of a moment. Write to think. As humans, we are constantly intuited with thoughts about our daily lives, ambitions, and insecurities. To make careful choices and decisions, we must express what we think. Right to create. Words have the power to carry inspiring messages. There is a reason why we remember great novelists, thinkers, and scientists and find wisdom in what they write to learn. Writing can help us remember what we read and study. When we take notes, we learn to record and analyze information. This is one of the important part of the business. As you are probably aware, writing helps you to develop many skills, which are helpful for your academic life as well as your work life. Writing helps in communicating one's idea and thoughts. What are the features of written communication? To be an effective communicator, one must adhere to the following characteristics of writing. First one is extensive writing. Reading extensively will enable you to become a better writer in personal as well as professional life. A reading habit helps in developing better communication skills. Constant writing. One of the best way to become a good writer is by constantly writing. Practice makes writing more profound, and the words that flow have more clarity. Words conscious, word seekers. Good vocabulary helps in placing in appropriate words while writing, which will help in transmitting the message with more clarity. What is the purpose of writing? It is very important to be aware of the purpose for which you are writing and have knowledge of who your readers are. This will make your writing more focused and precise. Thing is similar to that, whatever we are doing, we should be aware of who are its who is going to watch you or who is watching you. Similarly, the way the writing, in writing part, you have to keep the same thing in your mind. Who is going to read your writing, what you have written? Target audience. Remember, most writing is meant to be read by others. In the business world, the audience is quite specific, and communication to the employer or other stakeholders is made through emails, memos, reports, etc., or a job application. Understanding of the subject. The next step is to attempt to understand your subject or topic. Remember, writing is not something you do after thinking, but it is something which helps you to think. What is the process of writing? Writing is a complex process which involves thinking and composing texts. When we write, we have ideas, and these ideas come to us as words or phrases. These words or phrases are then logically placed in sentences, which are then combined to form paragraphs. Ultimately, paragraphs are put together to form a coherent text. Though the process of creating a text may vary from person to person and the text type to text type, there are a few basic steps that can help us demystify this process. Writers therefore plan and then revise their plan, draft and then revise their draft, write and then rewrite. This is known as the process approach to writing, and it is important to follow such an approach. First of all, step number one is understanding your reader. Who is it for? Before one begins the process of writing, it is important to identify the reader. Is the reader your boss, or are you writing a project proposal for venture capitalist? Either way, knowing the reader is the first step in the writing process. Once you identify the reader, the next step is to develop a profile of the reader. Are you writing for a digital audience? If yes, you may use or you may have to consider keeping the length of your text short. Creating a reader's profile. The following list of questions can help you to create a reader's profile. First of all, who is my reader? Am I addressing one person or am I addressing a diverse group of individuals? Number two, as they familiar with what I say. If not, then what should I tell them so that they follow what I write? What do they already know? Thirdly, why should they be interested in what I say? Fourth, what is the best way to communicate? Fifth, should I use a particular structure, tone, or style when I communicate? What genre should I use? What will they gain after my reading? Step two is finding the purpose. What is your intent? Know that you know your audience. It is time to identify the purpose behind your writing exercise. You need to do that to ensure the following. Your audience will understand what you are writing about and why it is important to you and to them. You will understand why you, your superiors, and your organizations need to know about the subject. You will be able to identify and gather the information that is most relevant to your readers and your goals. Step three is starting the writing process. Sometimes, when we sit down to write, we may feel the need to discuss something under the sun about the topic that we choose. or we may get stuck and cannot write it all. In such situations, it is always good to just start writing ideas. If you have noticed, gain coherence and clarity when you put them down on paper. Listening is something different, writing is something different. When you are writing, you should have an open mind. And when you are listening, you should listen it very carefully. Step 4, developing ideas. How to research. Conducting research is a crucial component of the writing process. Here are a few tips that can help you with conducting your research. Internet research. At the brainstorming stage, you will have several ideas in mind for your proposed topic. Identifying credible sources. Now that you have an overview about your topic, it is important to identify reliable information. Who is the writer? Are they qualified to write about this topic? Where is the information from? Is the website a reliable source? In this electronic age, it's very difficult to understand what is the originality of a content what you are listening or whatever you are watching. One has to adhere because you are going to present yourself, your views. You should have an authenticity of the content what you are sharing. We normally take we use Google for finding out anything, but we have to be very sure whether the information provided to us is correct up to the mark or not. That we have to decide. Then comes your library research. A few decades back, libraries were the primary source of information, while the internet has helped us to find information at record speed. But it can also not have the right answer for some of our queries. Now, organize and label your research. Research can thoroughly overwhelm you if you do not organize the information that you have. When you collect information through internet or library research, organize them into folders and label them correctly. Then comes your step number 5, writing a plan. After the free writing that you do, it is important to write an outline. This may be in points, and remember, these points will be changed if required. In fact, your plan must be dynamic and flexible. Mind map. Sometimes visualizing what you have in mind can help you understand your ideas better. Visual tools like mind maps can be used to capture your initial ideas. Creating a mind map. Mind maps can be created using the combination of color coding, short text, doodles, short phrases, division of knowledge or information, etc., to make it an effective and active tool of communication. You might have seen in written advertisement. There are something which pops you up to have a look at it, what all that is. That is itself something adding to it, to the conventional system. Here you can see this is what is provided on your cover page of your content. See, when we are talking about business plan, how many things are popping up? What are the requirements? What it should have comes in all it. What makes it effective? We start organizational structure, financial resources, human resources, logistics, products and services offered, marketing strategy, IT, overview of organization, executive service. This all is under. this business plan. Step 7 is structuring how to outline. An outline prepares the skeleton structure of your writing. Since you are brainstormed and researched on your topic, you have a vast amount of information in hand. Therefore, it is good to create an outline that can help you organize the information logically. Step 8 is putting it on paper. How to write. To write, we must sit at a desk and write to meet our deadline. This means that we must push our brains to construct coherent sentences, paragraphs, and text when we write. Step 9 is reworking the draft. How to revise. The act of writing is incomplete without the act of reading and revising. To write is also read and then rewrite what we write. Usually, what you write is your first draft. Maybe messy. It should be tangled, bunch of ideas and half-formed thoughts. You communicated on the paper in one go. This means you must return to your draft and clean and the copy before it goes to the reader. To remember that revising is not the same as editing. When you revise, you can even change the whole draft and start afresh. Though editing is a part of revision process. It does not involve large scale changes in the draft. So when you sit to work on writing project, to ensure that you have set enough and more time for revisions. Because once you have written and you have presented or it has been moved from your hand, it cannot be edited. Step 10 is integrating feedback, how to collaborate. Most people believe that writing is a personal project. While this may be true to some extent, good writing emerges from collaboration and feedback. To understand this, you could consider asking a friend or a colleague to read your draft. Constructive feedback can do wonders to your draft. It will improve the reading experience of your draft and make you confident about your writing. Step 11 is polish the draft. How to edit and proofread. Editing and proofreading are the final steps of the writing process. They make our writing effective and error-free. Though editing and proofreading are linked to each other, they are different in terms of their functions. Editing, for example, can be a part of revising process. Since we are rereading the draft, it has been written and you are rereading it again. We may edit or clarify as we make revision. Proofreading, on the other hand, only engages with error correction. The following steps can help you with your editing process. Read your writing aloud. Check and remove repetitions. Find and fix common mistakes. Clarity. Use active voice. And ensure uniformity in the use of tenses. These are the things which have to be kept in mind while we are, and there are some steps which can help you with your proofreading process. That is, read one sentence at a time. Read the paper loud. Common punctuations errors, such as use of comma and apostrophes, can also be rectified during proofreading. And finally, ensure that there is no mistake You can also consider sharing your writing with a friend and asking them to proofread it. Now, what is the short business correspondence? That is your unit 10. Business correspondence plays a pivotal role as communications with all the stakeholders is very important. All the stakeholders connected with the business contribute at their respective levels. Timely, sequential, and systematic communication with these stakeholders results in enhancing the productivity of the business and also helps in developing long-lasting relations. Different type of correspondence are being used in businesses as they are drafted as per the situation. The business correspondence has to be clear, concise, and accurate, as every business correspondence reflects the image of the writer or the organization with which it represents. What is the concept of business correspondence? Business correspondence is the lifeline of every business. Correspondence, whether it is verbal or written, can have a huge impact on the bottom line profitability and productivity of any organization. Proper drafted emails, structured approach in offline and online meetings, systematic webinars, well defined inter and intra-departmental communications all play an important role in defining the success of an organization. Business correspondence includes both written and oral communication. Letters, emails, reports, memos are all formal and are part of commercial and business activity. So are interviews, meetings, conferences, presentations, and negotiations. What is the purpose of business correspondence? In business communication, the way one writes any form of business letter makes a lot of difference. There are number of letters of different forms being written in any organization. That is why it becomes important to understand the purpose of business correspondence. Why we are writing. Following points gives an idea about the purpose of business correspondence. First of all, maintaining proper relationship. Second one is organizational goodwill. Third one, reduces employees turnover. And fourth is increases productivity of employees. And fifth one is improves customer satisfaction and retention. Types of business correspondence. There are different types of business correspondences, and the frequency of use of them varies from organization to organization. The correspondence types, which are used in almost all organizations, are taken or discussed here. First one is internal communication. Internal communication may be a written communication between departments, employees, micro units, and various regional branches, zones, and branches of one organization. The internal correspondence may be a formal or informal. Usually, Regular internal correspondences is less formal. Email is often the most common tool while sending internal correspondences. Other internal correspondences include appraisal letter, letters of dismissal, letter of appreciation, formal request, etc., which is in-house only. Typically, such communications is usually printed on a piece of paper, which the sender authenticates and signs, and the recipients receive it physically. Second one is external correspondence. External correspondences may occur amongst two organizations or between an organization and its customers. External correspondence is mainly made to sponsors, government offices, vendors, prospective clients, suppliers, financial firms, accounting and law firms, creditors, donors, business affiliates, etc. But that correspondence has to be sent to someone. Sales correspondence, as the name suggests, it consists of purchase orders, marketing letters, promotional offer letters, sales report, new scheme letter or offer, discount offer, letters of order confirmation, collection letters. Every sales correspondence has to be meticulously drafted because in sales, even you can see how many types of letters are being used. Personalized correspondence. This type of correspondence is customized and tailor-made. Suitable examples include appreciation, thank you, letters expressing gratitudes, letter of condolences and sympathy, letters of congratulations and good wishes, and letters of seasonal greeting. Now, these are all personalized correspondence. Then comes a circulars. Circulars refers to notices which are sent to many people in an organization. They might be new announcements, new advancements, or new office policies, having new instructions, or even new office protocol. The circulars are focused to each many readers, and these are usually kept in generic tone, as they cater to numerous people who receive them. That means we can say that in normal term, routine correspondence. This type of correspondence is related to routine issues. Common type of routine correspondences include invitations, replies, letter of appointment, enquiries, and acknowledgements. Now there are some foreign words and phrases what we use or you might have seen. It is written or it has been used. Now the purpose is why they are to make it iconic. Words and phrases form an important part of any communication. In business correspondences, also words and phrases play an important role. These words and phrases are mostly of Latin or French origin. For example, ad hoc. Ad hoc means for a particular purpose. Bona fide, genuine. You might have heard of bona fide certificate. What does that mean? Genuine. That is only bona fide members will be allowed to attend. This is right here. It is in terms of meeting because we are talking about the community. En route. That is on the way. Errata. List of errors. Ex officio. Rank or position by virtue of one's office. Ex parte. One-sided. Inter alia. Among other things. Malafide. Bad faith. Modulus operandi. One way of doing a thing. Par excellence. Amenity. Per capita. Per head. Prime facie on the face of it. Pro rata in proportion to. Luxurious under consideration of a judicial body. Ultraviruses beyond one's own power. Verbatim, word for word. Virus against. Via media, a middle course. Now, we have gone through I think approximately 3 units. Anyone has any question about the context what we have discussed today? Rather, this seems to be a one-way communication. I'm just speaking, and you people, I don't know how much you have understood or how you are taking the conversation. It's my job to ask you what you have understood and what you want to discuss. Any question from any one of you?
No, sir.
Whether you have understood everything or you have not understood anything.
Sir,
This,
the lectures are very good, but we are getting so many concepts in a limited time. So,
madam, the thing is that this is what, no, 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 no. This is what we are, those who are working are a part of it. As far as communication is concerned, the communication, everyone understands what communication is. But the thing is that how it has to be presented, that is the issue.
Exactly, sir.
So we will be taking some break and we will be joining again.
Yes. Sir, can we get the PPT, sir? I was requesting yesterday.
How
Yes, sir.
these sessions are recorded, you can uh, reuse them.
Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, we will meet after the break.
Sure.
Yes, sir.